right, guys, let's go ahead and get started. In the room, we've got 5 folks, and we've got some folks on the call. Maybe some more folks will join us. I want to, first of all, thank you all for being here. We train, as you all know, 4 Thursdays a month, 2 Thursdays a month, 4 Tuesdays and a Saturday, and then I Zoom with, I counted them today, about 45 of you, or 50, closer to 50. We are attempting to disseminate information to the folks that have joined this team as quickly as we possibly can. I bring that up because, you know, it's tough. Thank you. It's tough. Everybody, and you're staring at our AMP racetrack right now. I'm going to try to make it bigger. There's usually something on here that I can make it bigger with, but I'll just leave it for now. You've got family, you've got faith, you've got a social life, and a lot of you have work outside of real estate. And we spend a bunch of money to get our licenses, and then, I don't know, we have expectations of falling into or generating enough transactions that we can just practice real estate all the time, 24 hours a day, and earn a good living. And while that is absolutely everyone who's on this team's journey, it's certainly our vision. It is without question the leadership group's vision for you all to achieve exactly what you want. There's only so much time in the day when all of us have those 4 things that we're working with. And it results in sometimes in patience, perhaps with ourselves, perhaps with real estate, perhaps with life in general, perhaps with the world. But I'm going to share with you something I shared with an AMP agent about 15 or 20 minutes ago. We have 108 people on the team. And just to be clear, you're not just a number. This team's going to grow well beyond 108 if we all have our way, because we're growing a family of agents who are focused and passionate and have the mental toughness to run a real estate business. Because that's what we're doing. Each and every one of us is learning how to grow, market, maintain, and sustain a real estate business. And guys, I've been doing this for 33 years. I don't know of any shortcuts to that. If they exist, they don't exist here. We have well over 60 years of combined experience on the leadership team. And with your input and your focus and your feedback, we've grown this business plan from, Mark, what was it? It might have been 8 tools.
Something like that.
There were 6 or 8 things on this list 3 years ago. Maybe 8. I think it was more like 6. Heck, just getting you guys ramped up is 5. There's over 25 tools on here now. So our efforts, and when I say ours, I mean all of you and the leadership's efforts, are all designed to help you achieve what it is that you want to get out of real estate. And so that brings me to the first part of tonight's message. And you saw it on the AMP Facebook team, our page. With all that we have going on in life, family, faith, social life, and work outside of real estate, we are attempting to grow a business and focus on that business. Focus on the real estate part of your life. You wouldn't be here if you didn't have a passion for real estate. We're going to go through it in the room. Mark, why did you get into real estate, and why do you think that translates into a passion? Define it briefly, please. I'll interpret for all of you that can't maybe hear him at home.
I love helping.
Mark said it, and I love helping people. In 4 words, I love helping people. Christian, why did you get into real estate? What's your passion in real estate?
Also, one word, freedom.
Freedom. Christian wants some freedom. He wants to be able to drive his own car, steer his own ship, be in control of his destiny, run a business is how I would interpret that. Lori?
Things that time, like to have time to do.
Yeah. How many hours a week do you work at your job?
30.
So Lori Spoon is in the room and she has work outside of real estate, and 30 hours of her week are taken up by that position. And so she is working towards freeing up her time to pursue real estate and other things in her life. Woody? Woody loves relationships with people and helping people. Michelle?
When I originally got my license, it was to try to transition out of work at that time it was a little bit different, but since then it's really more of helping people to realize that they can actually purchase property.
Yeah.
It's not for just a certain few, or you know, that they think, oh my God, I can't, but yes, you can.
So Michelle's definition was to assist people in understanding that you too can own a home, because the American dream of home ownership is for as many people as can possibly stand it. Scott Hoffman, why did you get into real estate? What's your passion in real estate?
Absolutely helping people. And then as far as career was concerned, I knew it was a career that I could continue to do, not retire, and make good money.
Love it. Dana, you'll be last, unless somebody else wants to talk about it. You're muted, or you're frozen. You're still muted.
Okay.
There you go. I'll ask you to unmute, but now unmute again. There you go.
Okay. So couple things, flexibility to be able to travel and be my own boss and help people. I came out of a corporate world and was tired of, I wanted to do my own thing. I wanted to be in charge of my own life. So, and I absolutely love it. So.
Les, I'll go to you and then I'll be done. You're muted.
Yeah, I think it's a culmination of, kind of a look, piggybacking off of what everyone else said, definitely want to transition into something that allows me to, kind of write my own paycheck, help continue to build a legacy, leave something for my kids and grandkids, and, just helping some folks along the way.
Love it. The reason why that part of our conversation was so critical, not only the focus, but the passion part. And I didn't hear anything about money. I didn't hear anything about, well, I thought it'd be easy to make money in real estate. Or a lot of my friends had their real estate license, and if they can do it, I can do it.
Hi, Mark. This is Nassima.
Yes. Yes, Nada. You're muted. It's good to see you.
Yep. Thank you. I just joined, actually. I just wanted to say hi.
Hello.
I just joined, so I just wanted to say hi.
And I said hello back.
Hi,
Good
hello.
Guys, if we find ourselves searching for something in real estate that doesn't involve a passion to be of assistance to other people, we are setting ourselves up for a long road. And let me crystallize that for you. We have great agents. I was just talking to in an AMP session, or a Zoom session with an outstanding agent. And one of the concepts that came up during the conversation was the number of transactions that this person who's very passionate about real estate expects of themselves in any given year. And guys, we can bring all the focus and passion to our businesses that we can possibly muster. But I'm sorry to say, as your coach, we cannot sell anybody anything as it relates to a home. We can't sell them on the concept of listing their home, and we can't sell them on the concept of buying any particular home. We can certainly assist them to achieve either one of those things. And what I mean by that is the timing for folks is the timing for folks. Michelle was talking earlier about a client that she has that wants desperately to buy a home. And she was asked to show them a home that's well above what they qualify for. That's a timing issue as far as I'm concerned. The time that they've been looking for 6 months. The time for the home that they can afford has not yet come. What in the world are you going to do about that? Folks buy houses every 7 years on average. It is our client's vision that we are stepping in to assist them with. So you have the focus and the passion. That leads us to the third and final and probably the most important piece of building a real estate business. Patience is buried in there somewhere, but it's buried well underneath mental toughness. Mental toughness, defined as having the stick-to-itiveness to do for however long it takes what you know you must do in real estate in order to be a winner. There are very small differences between those that win in real estate and those that, we'll just call it, lose. Very small differences. And those very small differences are probably what drive that, you know, what those instructors say at Hondros, which is 85% of the people don't make it through their first couple years. It's very small differences, guys. Mental toughness is huge. Keeping your head down through times like what we are going through now with all of the rigmarole surrounding buyer brokerage. We've been here before. We're just with other things. So let's focus on what you stepped onto when you joined AMP. Let's continue to have the passion that I heard a bunch of you emote a couple of minutes ago about real estate and wanting to be of assistance. If that is true, and we were all being truthful with each other, then we will stick with this as long as it takes to communicate and grow trust with the largest number of people that we can possibly stand and have the mental toughness to get through that process. I'll give you an example of patience and sticking with it here in a minute. I shared it earlier with the other agent. I think it's a lot of fun. So let's talk about your business and crystallizing. You've heard different aspects of this before. Sorry to be pedantic about this, but this is where all of you that are on the call for sure are. Let me just verify the names. I've got Sierra, Dana, Justin, Les, Mark, Michelle, Narda, and Scott. And in the room, we've got Christian, Lori, Woody, Suad, and Michelle. Sorry. Daka, not Suad. Daka and Michelle. Guys, you're all in different places on this track. You're all walking, running, trotting around it. You're just in different places. But everything on here is circular. It's all purposeful. Dana did great work when she put this together for everyone. And I've sent this to all of you. I really want you guys to focus on this. Put it with your vision sheet. For that matter, print this out and put it with your vision sheet as well. But you should certainly have this in front of you all the time. If nothing else reminds you of the mental toughness and the focus and the passion that we all must have to drive our businesses forward, this captures it really well. So we've said it before, you've got family, faith, social life, and work. We have to identify the amount of effort, and let's go ahead and put in time there, effort and time that we have in our lives to devote whatever period of time and effort that is. The majority of it goes to connecting with people, communicating with them, growing trust with them, and nurturing them towards a transaction. The timing will be correct, or right is a better way to put it, for everybody in your sphere. Someday in the future, communicating and growing trust with them will allow them to pick up the phone or shoot you an email or shoot you a text and say, it's time. And then I know I say this a lot, and I actually had a call today with another agent that was pushing back against this. 10% of the effort and time that you are focused on real estate, 10% of your effort is designed to be used for getting somebody through a transaction. The agents on this team are getting better and better at recognizing that to be absolutely true. And then, of course, we spend a lot of time, guys, with folks that we've already assisted in the past, 30%, 60, 10, 30. So we ask ourselves, I'm filling my pipeline. I've got people and transactions. I've got closed clients. Where do those people reside? Where do they exist in our lives? How do I keep track of them? How do I continue to communicate and grow trust and gain referrals and offer them additional assistance? And that's sitting up here at the top of this track. So I'm going to go ahead and embarrass myself, or at least take the risk that I'm going to embarrass myself. Anybody on the call or anybody in the room, tell me where a future client, a current client, or a past client resides, where their information is, where you're connected to them is, besides these 4 places: KV Core, the MLS, .loop, or somewhere on one of your social media platforms. Where else does somebody reside in your business life, real estate business life? Where else should our focus be? Where else should our passion be? And where else do we need to have the mental toughness to continue to communicate with people? Other than those 4, somebody name a 5th.
Your cell phone.
Well, is somebody in your cell phone also on your KV Core? Let me rephrase the question. They're in your cell phone. Are they also not in your database? And are they also not a Facebook friend of yours? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. So I'll come back to that, Dana, because you make a good point. I didn't mean by my reaction to poo-poo it. You're right. People are in your cell phone, that's for sure. As it relates to them.
Social events?
Okay, that's networking. So those folks should be relegated from somebody you meet at a social event onto your Facebook and into your KV Core. You guys are starting to make statements that are very helpful for all of you to begin to crystallize in your mind this funnel that we all have.
There shouldn't be anywhere else. They should all be in one of these 4. If we're following our business plan, I'm hoping that's what you're looking for.
I'm looking for feedback. Yes, that's good part of the answer. But the person, who was it that said social events?
Justin.
Justin.
I think it was Scott.
I thought.
Well, Justin, let's just say it was Justin, because I'll pick on him. You're absolutely right. You meet a ton of people at social events. They don't stay there as it relates to a platform, a business platform that you can utilize to communicate and grow trust. You're not at that social event 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 52 weeks a year, and 12 months out of the year. You meet somebody at a social event, and then they are relegated into your social media platforms and your KV core. So you're right. If the question were, where can you meet these folks? You're absolutely right. Justin, Scott, whoever said it. You meet people at networking events, social events, parties, weddings, funerals. Absolutely. Your world should be imbued with real estate. We should be talking about real estate with everybody we meet. If they don't bring it up, we certainly should. You want to be salesy? That's a salesy coaching answer. Everybody should be talking about real estate all the time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But we have family, faith, social life, and work outside of real estate. So do you find yourself in situations where you can bring it up and you don't? Change that. Do you find yourself in situations where it gets brought up and you don't know what to do about it? Let's change that. Let's train on having buyer and seller conversations and getting somebody's name, name, cell phone number, and email address so they can end up, as Les indicated, on one of those 4 platforms at some point in their journey with you down this thing we call the real estate road. So where else might they be besides KV Core, one of your social media platforms, both, or the MLS or .loop? Where do they reside when they're within your business plan? When they're in that funnel, where do they reside? Not where do they come from? They come from all those places, or they come from a lot of places, but where do they reside other than those 4? I'm focusing on it because that is the answer. But if I'm missing something, please tell me. We'll add it to this racetrack. Yes, Mark.
I have 3. I have I mail reminder media magazine to some of my neighbors that are not in any of those categories.
Okay.
I do unsolicited CMAs to neighbors that are not in any of those categories. Then a mailing in my geo farming. I have names and addresses on an Excel spreadsheet, and they're by far not all in any of those categories.
Okay, so Mark has gone a step back and has indicated that he does 3 things that are marketing tools that he uses to attract more potential clients into his funnel, right? So that they will become Facebook friends, they will step onto his KV Core platform, eventually be a Flex MLS and .loop client. He mails the Reminder Media magazine.
In unsolicited CMAs electronically.
Unsolicited CMAs electronically to his community.
In my mailing.
And his mailing to his neighborhood. These are folks that aren't on his KV Core. They're not Facebook friends, but he is marketing to those folks, networking with them to communicate and grow trust and nurture them so that one day when they enter his real estate world, they're in his real estate world as it relates to him reaching out to touch them. But the day will come when they enter his funnel. And when 1 or 2 or 4 or 10 of those people that get his magazine, get his unsolicited CMA, or get his mailer to his community, when one of those clients, potential clients, responds, the first thing Mark will do is put them in his KV Core and search for them on Facebook and begin.
Sorry.
Mark's second one,
Media magazine.
Reminder Media. He sends out unsolicited comparative market analysis reports to neighbors. That was the second one. So he is marketing. It's right here. He is networking and geo farming right here. He's doing these 2 things in 3 various ways in order to drive people to his KV Core and his social media. Now, he might skip those 2. He might skip those 2 because one of those folks might just call him up and say, hey, you've been in touch with me for a long time now. It's time for me to list my house. And they just go right into .loop. He'll eventually add them to his KV Core after he gets done listing and selling their house for them. So it's just an out of order thing, right? Doesn't mean that he has to further nurture them. They might just call him and say, let's do this now. That would be fabulous. And it does happen. I have proof of that in just a second. I don't think there's any place else anybody can think of. What we're all thinking of, though, which is fantastic, is different ways that we can gather information about the folks we'd like to do business with in the future and eventually relegate them into that funnel, right? Justin and Scott's social situation, Mark's reminder media, unsolicited CMAs, and letters to his neighborhood. We can all think of dozens of ways that we could reach out to people. And there are dozens of ways that we go through every day where we could or should or would be. If you have a job outside of real estate and everybody where you work doesn't know you're in real estate, that's a problem. That needs to get changed by you. Communicate and grow trust with those folks. Once they're in one of those 4 platforms, guys, this business is designed to eventually spit them out into a transaction. That's where your mental toughness and your patience comes in. The only way to change that, and there's a way to change that. You can ramp that up for sure. You could go through the process that many of the leaders on this platform have already done for you, but you could go through it for yourself and do all the research on every lead generation system out there that you've heard of. You know, homes.com came blowing into town. Realtor.com, Zillow, Redfin. There's a new one called Clink or something. I don't know. Somebody brought it up the other day. There's a lot of lead generation systems, and those lead generation systems purport to provide you with leads. OpCity is another one of folks that are right there on the cusp, but they want to make a decision sooner than any influencing and nurturing that you choose to do could shortcut through. You could do that. You could invest in lead generation systems. We have 2 on this team. Sheila House, Facebook forums, and Justin Humphrey's Geo Farming Facebook ads. They both work. To ask them, don't believe me, ask them. So you could invest, and that might skip over the length of time it takes, because what you presume you're getting as a lead that shows up on your KV core is somebody who's ready to do something right now. You could do that. If that's something you're focused on, great. Just make sure it's in addition to everything else that we're asking you to do on this platform. That could shorten the period of time between starting your business and having a transaction or 2 or 3 come to you. There's an expense associated with that. But if you've got it in your budget, have at it. We've got 2 we can train you on right now. If you have the budget for it, we've got 2 we can train you on right now. One is less expensive than the other. So back to this. The point I'm attempting to make is that your business eventually crystallizes into those 4 platforms. And for now, let's just say only those 4. And you have as many people as your KV Core checklist reminds you of every day, added to your KV Core. All your friends, all your family. You've gone through your social media Facebook page and you've gotten it down to the 500 or 600 friends that you want to connect with. You network all the time, like Justin and Scott mentioned. You send out reminder media. You continue to fill this pipeline with additional people, and you relegate them into KV Core and onto your Facebook and your social media. And those people will list their home and buy one, or want you to help them buy a home. Let's prove it to ourselves so that I'm not the only one blathering on about this. Lori, where has all your business so far come from? There's one word that describes it.
Sphere.
Sphere. Woody?
Sphere.
Yeah. Mark? Yeah. Michelle? Oh,
Right now, it's fair.
yeah. Of course, and you've used it successfully. Justin, where does your business come from now? You're still on the call.
My sphere.
The transaction you're doing, do you know this person or is it a stranger?
Sphere.
Yeah. Dana,
A combination of sphere and not sphere.
give me the percentage. What's sphere and what's not sphere? If you used 100.
About half.
Good. What are you doing to generate transactions with the half that it isn't sphere?
Social media.
So you're getting business on social media from strangers?
So, I mean, I guess in a roundabout way, it's friends of friends. So people I don't know, but a friend on social media refers them to me.
Perfect.
So, yes.
So you're using your social, let me interpret that for you, because this is the way I'd love to say it. You're using your social media checklist in order to generate transactions because you stay in touch with Sphere and they refer you to their friends.
Yes.
Okay. Has anyone closed something this year so far that was just fell out of the blue and with a total stranger? She's not on the call. That's right. I love it.
That landed in her KB Core.
All right. Sheila brought a buyer to one of Lori's listings that landed in her KV Core. Now, I would venture to guess that it might have been one of the ones that was on her Facebook forums, but maybe not.
She just said they came.
From
Yeah,
KV
they
Core.
showed up in KB Core. She contacted them.
I
They
love
had
it.
been interested in looking downtown.
And
She
here we
started
were.
showing them around and they landed at like.
I love it.
And they completely crushed it. They did a fantastic job. Both Lori and Sheila just destroyed that in an
Yeah.
awesome way.
They did. It's fun to work with agents that you like, know, and trust. Guys, I think the point that you all made just now is that even Dana's example, these are folks that know the folks that you know. So I'd call that more sphere than stranger. If you have the skill set to convert leads, please utilize it. We'll help you get through the transactions like crazy. We train on a bunch of stuff. So your business is on the road to crystallizing into these platforms. So if you can simplify it, especially if you have a very busy family life, or life is handing you some things that are taking up your effort and time and your emotional energy. You have a busy faith life. You have a busy social life. You work like Lori does 30 hours during the week outside of real estate. If you can begin to crystallize this in your mind, that my position as a licensed real estate agent is to connect with as many people as I can and get them into one of these 4 platforms so I can begin to communicate with them and nurture them and grow trust in them and they and you, then you will find yourself sooner rather than later, depending upon the amount of focus and passion that you bring to it, doing 1 to 9 transactions a year, the average is 8, or 10 to 19, the average is 14, or you'll be doing 20 plus. That's what will happen to you. And whenever I say this, I would imagine that's what's going on behind all of your sets of eyeballs is, how can he say that? How does he know that? Why does he think that? Why does he promise me that? So let me tell a quick story. You all know I send out a newsletter every month, and I've been sending it out since 2002. Prior to that, I was with Dominion Homes for 10 years. And so this speaks to the timing of things that we cannot control. It does speak also to the passion and focus that we bring to our businesses. and the mental toughness to just continue to grind it out, no matter what the internet or national media or anybody else is saying. In 1994, I helped a couple buy a home. I actually wasn't their salesperson. I was just the one who, they were buying the model that I was in, not the actual house, but one like it, a floor plan. It was called the Yorktown +8 by Dominion Homes. By the way, to just make yourself sick, back in 1992, it sold for $89,900 and it was a 2,438 square foot house. So they bought one and they'd come to my model quite often. And I started sending them a newsletter because I got my database from Dominion Homes. And my phone rang today and someone left a voicemail because I was on a Zoom with an agent. And lo and behold, it was Barb and her husband, Stephen, are finally going to sell their home that they bought in 1994. And after, I can't do that math. Yeah, I can. 30 years. After 30 years, they actually called me. That has nothing to do with me. It has to do with having stayed in touch with them, because on her voicemail, she said, "We've been getting your newsletter for years now, and we thought we would invite you over to list our home because we're moving to be closer to our grandkids and our kids who live in Greene, Ohio." Happy little surprises come out of the blue for all of us, guys. The more consistent we are, the more focused we are, the more passionate we are, the more mentally tough we are, these things simply happen. It feels magical. It's not. It's called back-end marketing. It's been around for hundreds of years. When you become focused and passionate and mentally tough enough to stay with back-end marketing, it will reward you. That I can promise you. Any questions about this track? The 4 places that your entire client base reside. Folks that are not yet clients in your pipeline, folks that are in a transaction, folks that are already closed. The 4 places they reside are in your social media, your database, KV Core. Yes, some of them are in your phone, and they're in, for a short period of time, if they're a buyer, they're in the Flex system. And for about the same period of time, they're in .loop as either a buyer or a seller, or both. That's where they reside. We focus our attention on those 4 places, and that your business will automatically grow. And keep doing everything else we've talked about. Continue to be social and network and put yourself out there, utilizing these 2 platforms and anything else you can think of. But they end up in these 4 places at some time or another. That's how, I'm going to use the word simple. Sorry, that's how simple your business will become. Then when you and I continue to get the dozens of texts and emails and phone calls a day that we get as licensed agent, offering us the newest, greatest way to short circuit the system that's going to make us wealthy overnight, we can block and delete those rather than concerning ourselves with the newest shiny little object that happens to come into the world. I hope all that makes sense to y'all. Any questions or feedback? Scotty, Justin, Dana, anybody? I've got some stats to share with you when you get a chance. I've just put you all to sleep. Okay. Well, hopefully this will help you. So I stand up here 2 Thursdays a month, and you've got 6 leaders that Zoom with you 4 Tuesdays a month. And we meet on Saturdays, and I Zoom with many of you. And I continue to talk about owning, running, operating, and growing a real estate business. And it's with using this racetrack and the methods that we talk about. And we work hard to build very foundational principles that you all get really good at. So it's just like you can do it in your sleep. So I gathered some statistics that go back 1 year. And since they go back a year, I involved agents that were here at least from last June to this June. And then I mixed in folks that had been here 2 or 3 years, in addition to those first year folks. And I've always based this on percentage of volume growth, right? So your volume increasing, in this case, year over year. So and I went through the entire list of AMP agents. The only folks that I didn't search for were folks that had just gotten started and didn't have any data on Market View Broker. So when I could find the data, I found it. We have some standout stuff going on here, and it's just insane. So let me point out first, Carice is up 325.5% year over year. Dana is up 1,727% year over year. Lori Spoon is up 100%. She will tell you very quickly, because she's a humble person, that's because she hadn't done anything prior to June of last year, and she's right, so I cheated. Kamal is up 1,658%. I did not write down the person who's up 497%. I apologize to that person, even though you don't know who you are, because I don't know who you are. Muhammad is up 630.3%, and the list is 12.5. These are all up. 12.5, 49.4, 55, 325.5, 1, 2, 3, 4 100s. That's Manny, Joseph, Sheila Howe, and Kelsey. And of course, the aforementioned Lori. 3 other people I didn't mention. Somebody's up 9.8%. There's Dana, Kamal. I shared that with you. Somebody's up 497, 294, 120, and 100. Just taking kind of that swath, right? That puts that mixture on average of this team being up 311%. When I take that out, because being up 1,658% and 630 and 1,727 and 325 is kind of cheating. Those people should be rewarded heavily. When I took that out, and I want to compare this with the last stat that I had at the end of last year, which was second year AMP agents on average were up 143%. This was the end of last year's stats. So far, at this point in the year over year, on average, without those outliers, which are just incredible, the team is up 157% on average. Guys, that doesn't mean there are not folks that are down this year in volume. I listed some of those too. But being up 157% tells you something about you. You have the focus and the passion. We'll see if you've got the mental toughness to continue to grow the way this team is growing. Not in numbers, because you're not just a number, but in volume and transactions and being of assistance to people who, when the time is right, call you to help them. You should be proud of yourselves to be up 150%, 157% year over year. You're doing the work that it takes every day to do that. And I'm tickled to death to be just one of the leaders that's assisting you to do that. This is truly a team. It's a family. We're going through this together. We've evolved. When Mark and I started this in November of 2020, of course, it was just the two of us. And then we have Michelle Shriver in the room, who was our first AMP agent, and she's still here. We don't lose people very often. Yes, we don't lose people very often. Generally, they leave real estate if they leave this team. And I'm crassly proud of that. That's terrible, but. So you're up 157% because you are recognizing, and your business model is starting to crystallize for you, that you've got 4 platforms that you need to get everybody into or onto so you communicate and grow trust with those folks so that these transactions begin to come out basically out of the woodwork as if by magic. Woody, do you have a story or two to tell about transactions or no? Am I putting you on the spot?
Well, so, you know, through Ann, a lot of things that we talk about. One of them is direct messaging people through social media, Facebook, asking for a referral, just reaching out to your skiers to put your name out there. And, out of the blue, I get an email one day, hey, you know, my friend Lori, send me, give me your name, we're ready to start looking. And, it's been a month, they're in contract. So I reached out to Lori after I got their message.
Yeah, you owe her a cocktail.
I thanked her, and she's like, oh, no problem, I want them to be with the best. But, you know, just reaching out to those people, reminding them what you do over and over and over again. It sticks in their head, they know who you are, they know what you do, and they will be free.
Thank you, Woody. One of the most painful, to me, it seems painful to the agents when we train on this, things to do on Facebook is to direct message your friends. You don't mind them seeing you out making a fool of yourself or taking pictures of your dinner or taking pictures of, like I do, of a martini or my puppies or my horses or my dogs. But heaven forbid we actually reach out directly and ask them for their assistance to grow our business, or reach out directly and offer them our assistance to, maybe they should have a home warranty if they're a homeowner, or gee, do you need your property taxes revised? Heck, the reason why Michelle's person can't get their house is because the property taxes were too high on that 290. You know, if they were lower. At any rate, my point is, Joe just told a story about having direct messaged his friends list and it generated a referral and a transaction, and they're already in contract. Michelle has a quick question.
With on Facebook, I'm not real, I have Instagram, I post on it, but I'm horrible at like going in there. Would you message on, like, if I have at least one client, she's not on Facebook, she's only on Instagram, so would I still reach out to her? Like,
Yes.
Yeah.
Guys, the question in the room was, do you use similar messaging on Instagram and any place else that you would be as you use on Facebook? The answer is a resounding yes.
Absolutely.
You can say the same thing on any social media platform that you choose to, that you might start with Facebook because it's simple to do, and I don't have Instagram, so I'm ignorant of it. But yes, you would definitely want to utilize all of your social media platforms for marketing, reaching out to ask for help, nurturing, being of assistance, for sure. Guys, that's really all I've got. It's early, but I've worn you out enough. You're up as a team 157%. Please recognize that your business falls into basically 4 platforms that you may do a lot of things to generate. We'll call them the bodies that fall into those 4 platforms. Those are future clients. But your business is contained in KV Core, Flex, Loop, and your social media platforms. It's where your business is. And if it starts at a networking event or a party or a funeral or a church, great. That's the top of your funnel. Get them into KV Core and become friends with them on Facebook. And the transition, by the way, I was talking to an agent today about, I don't feel like I have a solid plan that I recognize and can repeat as it relates to taking somebody from a discussion about buying and selling into going for a transaction. You do. We have buyer conversations and seller conversations that we train on all the time. The minimum 3 things that you want from anybody that you meet out there is their name, cell phone number, and their email address. That's all you need to get started to communicate and grow trust. You can gather other data later. Don't wait for you to have a fully scrubbed contact to put them in KV Core. Put in KV Core what you have and add the rest of the data over time as you grow that relationship, if they're a stranger or you know, a second or third generation referral. Mark?
We keep people in. That's our number. I think we do. All 21 parts of that. Not.
So
And not many.
Mark said it really well. I'll say the last part as well. Mark said that on this team, we focus on the AMP agents growing their businesses to meet their vision. And I've said it before, the leadership meets probably every 2 or 3 weeks. We Zoom on a Saturday morning, and it's the top of mind, top of consciousness part of the discussion. The mission statement is grow AMP agents businesses, grow Red One, grow AMP as a team, and grow revenue share. That's the 4 things that we focus on. Number 1, and Mark said it best, is if we're successful, it's because we focus on your businesses. It's all we care about. I was in a Zoom and I did not answer my phone. It was a client who thankfully left me a voicemail message. We're focused on your success. Please focus on those platforms. Keep doing everything you can to drive people into those places so that your pipeline bursts, transactions come out, then you have closed clients, and then your job really starts.
Can I give a couple words of encouragement real quick?
Yep.
In regarding, so I closed last month and 2 of the buyers I'm working with right now came through social media. They never liked a post. They never answered my DMs. They never like, it was like I didn't exist to them. But when it came down to it, they DM'd me and reached out to me. So just because you're not getting responses on social media doesn't mean people are not paying attention. I used to get discouraged by likes and all that stuff, and it really just getting it out there. That's it. That's all I had to say. Yep.
Scotty, my heart is swelling. I love hearing that. I had no clue that Barb and Stephen were going to reach out to me. They certainly haven't reached out in the last 30 years. Why would I think they were going to reach out now? Dead silent. So you're absolutely right. And why is that the case? I'll interpret it for you. It's because when you were DMing them, when you were sharing your stuff and they weren't responding, the timing just wasn't right yet. But your name was the one they thought of. Again, guys, we don't sell houses to people. We just don't. We assist them to buy them. They make the decision. It's their money. It's not ours. I am now prepared to spend $450,000. This time last year, when you were bugging me with your newsletter and your DMs and your social media posts and your happy birthday greetings and your anniversary greetings, I was not ready. But you did it anyway, didn't you? Of course you did. You don't have a toothache every day, but when you do, you damn well better think of your dentist. That's the way to end it. Guys, thanks a bunch for being here.